Jasmine waits for Kirk in a tiny cafe in the center of Atlanta, a city teeming with drama, dreams, and life. She prays she wouldn't have to face it today, even though she knew it was coming. Jasmine has made a choice after years of making concessions, giving up things in private, and holding out hope that something would work out. She's picking herself this time. She's going with her truth, her voice, and her peace. She has never felt more confident, and this is her no-take-backs moment, the point of no return. Though the cafe is bustling with light music and conversations, Jasmine is deep in concentration, her gaze fixed on the table before her as memories flood her head. She recalls the beginnings with Kirk, their shared dreams, their laughing, and the assurances of eternity. But somewhere along the line, the laughter stopped, the promises began to feel like burdens weighing her down, and those goals became compromises. For so long, she has prioritized Kirk's needs over her own goals, aspirations, and boundaries in order to maintain the relationship. But that's over today. At that moment, she sees Kirk enter the cafe. His gaze wanders over the crowd until it catches sight of her. Even though he grins, she can see the stress and reluctance in his face. On some level, he is aware that this will be a different kind of conversation. After approaching her table and removing the chair across from her, he sits down. For a little period, they sit in stillness, a heavy silence that bears the weight of years of shared history, unsaid words, and repressed feelings. Kirk breaks the silence by clearing his throat. He says, "Hey, Jasmine," in a quiet, almost wary tone. "I appreciate you meeting me. I am aware that lately things have been difficult." Jasmine nods, but her face is composed, almost determined. Even though she had mentally practiced this moment innumerable times, it feels different now that it is actually happening. Not everything she had planned needs to be said. She just has to tell it how it is. "Kirk," she says steadily, "I didn't come here to go over everything that has happened between us or to speak about the past. I need you to understand something, which is why I came here. I want you to pay attention to what I have to say." As he listens, Kirk moves uneasily in his chair and furrows his brows. He starts to reply, but Jasmine stops him by raising her hand. "Just listen, please," she whispers quietly. "Allow me to say this." She inhales deeply as she collects her thoughts. "I've dedicated a significant portion of my life to attempting to salvage this relationship. To keep us running, I've sacrificed a lot of myself, including my time, energy, and goals. I reasoned that perhaps we could succeed if I simply put in a little more effort and gave it my all. However, Kirk, I was actually losing myself in the process." Kirk's countenance changes, displaying a mix of defensiveness and bewilderment. "I've also had to make sacrifices, Jasmine. I've worked hard. You are aware that relationships are difficult. However, you're behaving as though I haven't supported you." Although Jasmine's eyes soften, they still have a melancholy quality to them from years of feeling ignored. "Kirk, I know you've tried. I am aware that you took the best course of action. The problem is that you were acting in accordance with your own self-interest, and I accepted it, believing that everything would be all right if I simply adjusted to your needs. However, it's not acceptable. I'm not feeling well." She takes a moment to process what she has said. "In an effort to make you happy, I've been going above and beyond and giving up parts of myself. I also lost my happiness in the process. My identity was gone. I no longer recognize the image of myself in the mirror. I can't continue doing that either. I can't continue to put myself last." With his hands clenched together on the table, Kirk glances down as he takes in her words. He inhales deeply, and when he speaks again, his voice is softer. "So, Jasmine, what does that mean? What do you say?" Jasmine has a steady, unblinking stare. "Kirk, I'm saying that I'm done. I'm sick of sacrificing myself for a relationship that doesn't provide me with the love, respect, or understanding I need. I've had enough of putting myself last. I have no regrets about this. This time, I'm choosing myself." Kirk's expression droops, a mixture of surprise and regret taking hold of his features. He opens his mouth to argue and beg, But he knows that Jasmine won't change her mind this time. He sees the strength, the resolve, and the confidence in her gaze. She isn't here to be persuaded. She's coming to bid you farewell. Between them, there is a long, final stillness. Kirk examines her, looking for any indication that she could still be open to making amends or showing signs of reluctance. However, all he sees is a determined lady, a woman who has made her own decision at last. With a detached expression in his eyes, he nods slowly. His voice is hardly audible as he confesses, I didn't see this coming. I considered we had more time, I thought. Jasmine gives him a melancholy grin, her thoughts clear but her heart hurting. Kirk, perhaps that is the issue. We always had more time, didn't you? But things don't get better with time. Effort works. Knowing does. Additionally, I need to be with someone who values, respects, and sees me. I can't wait any longer for you to develop into that person. A range of feelings, including regret, sadness, and perhaps even a glimmer of understanding, are visible in Kirk's eyes. However, he secretly understands that he is unable to provide for her requirements. The person she deserves cannot be him, and despite the pain, he knows that it's the proper thing to let her go. He nods, speaking in a stifled voice. Jasmine, I understand. I simply wish things had turned out differently. Reaching across the table, Jasmine briefly rests her hand on his. I agree, Kirk. However, letting go of the things that are preventing us from moving on is sometimes the best thing we can do for ourselves. I sincerely want the best for you. However, I must go on. I must rediscover who I am. She removes her hand, gets up, and collects her belongings. With a heavy heart, Kirk watches her and thinks of what could have been. He doesn't attempt to stop her, though. He is aware that this is her time, her choice, and her reality. Upon leaving the meal and venturing into the busy city streets, Jasmine experiences an odd feeling of tranquility. She's not bound. Free from uncertainty, concessions, and the never-ending struggle, she has finally decided to be herself. And she knows in her heart that this is the start of something new, something tangible, something she owns. Unaware of the change that has occurred within her, the city bustles with activity all around her. Jasmine, however, is aware. She is aware that this marks the beginning of a new chapter in her life, one in which she will be in charge and won't have to mute herself in order to appease others. She inhales deeply, allowing the clean air to fill her lungs, and she feels stronger, lighter, and more alive than she has in years. Now, here is her story, her path. She also realizes that she is right where she is supposed to be as she leads Kirk, the cafe, and the life she is leaving behind. She then understands that she doesn't require the affirmation or approval of others. It's sufficient that she owns herself. More than sufficient. A gentle grin of relief, liberation, and self-acceptance appears on her face as she turns to leave. She may now finally be herself, follow her own path, and live her life as she sees fit. And she is certain that she has made the proper decision. Jasmine's time has come, her reality, her path. Furthermore, there are no refunds.